This is Robert Kraft, and I'm your host for SNN Network. And joining me right now is Bal Bhullar. She is the CFO of ElectraMeccanica Vehicles Corp, publicly traded company. The symbol is SOLO, S-O-L-O on NASDAQ. Bal, always great to see you. How are you doing?
Great to see you too, Bobby. I'm doing great. How are you doing?
No complaints, I just do my thing per usual, but I digress. I also want to say thank you for presenting at our event last week. Today is actually August 13th, and Bal presented, so on behalf of Solo,
yes.
Last week at our virtual event. So I do invite you to go and check out her webcast. That is on the website conference.snn.network, and actually you'll be able to see it on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/SNNWire to business. Now, we last did an interview in late April. Times have changed quite a bit, but love to get an update. What's been going on with the company since then?
Sure. We're in a really exciting time right now. We're in a position where back in April, there was the pandemic was hitting us all hard. And so during that whole transition and during this time now, during our second quarter, we've gone ahead and really strengthened our financial position in terms of de-risking the balance sheet. And what I mean by that is now at the end of June 30th, which was the end of Q2 for us, we just released our earnings report on Tuesday, August the 11th. We've got over $51 million in the bank now. And that really secures us and provides a strong financial roadmap to apply the funds towards the production, the operations. It really helps us continue on our journey as we're executing against our business plan.
I mean, there's been a steady news flow from the company since April. Not only announcing second quarter results, you named the 3 finalist states for the assembly facility and engineering technical center. I mean, those are just the first 2. I mean, do you want to go? What would you say of some of those news releases and newsy events that the company put out? Would you say are main highlights that investors should really look into and maybe provide a little color on those?
Sure. In terms of our 3 state finalists for a facility in the U.S. With the state initiatives and incentives that we'd be getting, the 3 states are Arizona, Florida, and Tennessee. And what that's going to allow us to do now is do further due diligence. So right now we're evaluating what those 3 states can provide us so that we can have the best package possible in going to the right state, which has the logistics, it has the transportation, it has the right funding, and also the individuals that we can hire within the state. So we're really digging down now into those 3 states to see which one would be best for ElectraMeccanica to set up the assembly facility, which would mean that we would get these simple kits from China and assemble the Solos in the US. And our supply chain would then be de-risked as well, which means that we will not be relying on any supply chain from China, but it would be either North America or in Europe or somewhere else. But the goal is to also make those Solos American made, which reduces and eliminates all tariffs, and it eliminates the risk factors for the supply chain, as well as we end up employing and providing employment to individuals in that state, in the United States, and therefore provides a positive towards the GDP and the growth.
This might be a dumb question, but you know me, I love asking dumb questions because usually at least you get something out of a dumb question. So, I have to ask, I mean, when you took the prototype, did you have to go from did you go to a few cities, and do you need to get some sort of vehicle approval? I don't even know what that approval looks like or is? Like, do you need to get that even prior to going into production? Because I guess that only makes sense, is taking the prototype, showing them, and getting that approval process. So can you elaborate on that?
Sure. So what we did was we started in 2015. We had 64 prototypes that were hand built out of our Vancouver facility, where only a handful of them were sold to early adopters for giving criticism, telling us, what they like, what they need, and so forth. And so we took all that information, and then we made another 50 in at the Zhongshan facility, which is our manufacturing partner. And what we did with those solos, we did further validation, further engineering, and making sure that the solo was safe and reliable. So yes, testing has to be done. In the United States, we're registered as a motorcycle, which means that you don't have to go through the NHTSA testing that a car goes through, but we are using NHTSA testing on the solo. We've done so much validation testing. We've got front and rear crumple zone protection. We've got triple side protection on the doors. We've got a robust roll bar as well. And we've got other specific engineering items that have been put into the vehicle to create that safe and reliable vehicle, and also a cool and fun driving experience. So what's happening is that was 2019 where we did those pre-production cars. This year, and in a very short time frame, we will be able to announce that we're going into production, because we are sticking to our plan, which is to go into production this summer.
I have a feeling we'll be talking when that does happen, when you do make that announcement. So I'll save my question for my follow-up to that particular news point to when that does happen. So, you know me, I always like to close out an interview with asking about, some growth drivers and value catalysts. It sounds like you more or less answered it. It's just, the accomplishing some of your goals that you set forth. Are there any others that investors should know about, that from what you can tell us, of course?
We are in continuous talks with strategic partners, which I can't name, and in other business opportunities as well that we are actively pursuing. So ElectraMeccanica is a growing and breathing company that, I know there's always the information flow that we can't just go out there as a publicly traded company and just say, this is what we're doing and that's what we're doing. So we're very conservative, and I know that investors are always wanting information, and you get to a point, and right now we are at a very sensitive point where we can't just divulge that information openly until we know that we're ready and it's for everyone to hear, right? So we are working hard in the background, and the biggest one is the production announcement will be coming soon. It was in our earnings release as well, and that's what we're really focusing on right now. And we do have some other announcements that we will be making, in the coming weeks as well.
The life of a public company manager. Don't you just love it?
Disclosure, right? You have to just make sure that being as fair as possible and covering the legal aspects as well.
I'm convinced that every C-suite manager of a publicly traded has compliance tattooed on them somewhere.
Oh, yes.
Or at least they should. So with that, where can our audience go and find more information about Solo?
They can find a lot more information on Solo at www.electramecanica.com, and go to the investor section where you can also sign up for updates as well.
Listen, everybody, I said Solo because it took me 3 takes to say ElectraMeccanica again, and I don't know why, but it always happens. But I digress. Bal, it's always a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining me today. Stay safe. Good luck. And look forward to speaking again soon.
Well, thank you, Bobby, and to your entire team in putting the conference together and speaking on the women's panel, which was really great to do, and the webcast that was done last week along with the one-on-one meeting. So thank you very much to you and your team, and always a pleasure to speak with you.
Thank you, Bal. Talk to you soon.